So this is a 1972 Porsche 911, and it's unlike any other 1972 Porsche 911, and I'll get into that. But what I want to share with you is things that I collect and why I collect them. And it seems like I have a pattern, if I self-analyze, that I like to collect things that my father appreciated, my father owned, and he was a unique gentleman that he always loved things that were timeless. I kind of classify my father as a Paul Newman, Steve McQueen kind of guy, because it seemed like they all had the same fashion and a lot of similar interest. And those are the things I'm drawn to, timeless things, things that are not mass produced, things that there's one, that's it. And what I mean by that, there's definitely more than one, but what I mean is they're not still making those items. They're not recreating them, that when it's gone, it's gone. And that's what I appreciate, is timeless things that are not mainstream, easily purchased. And in this case, my 1972 Porsche 911 named Finley is quite unique. And there's a number of things that I think the first thing I should point out is when my father was raising me, I wasn't allowed to just go to the store and purchase something if it was of value. I had to learn how it worked. I had to learn how it operated, and I had to build it. And I had that experience a lot of times, whether it was a vehicle, whether it was a watch, whether it was a motorcycle, a bicycle. I was never allowed to go to the store and buy it. We had to buy pieces of it and learn how it functioned and build it. And he felt I would take care of it that way. So that was his belief. And with this 1972 Porsche, it was a rust bucket. It was in really bad shape. So it was built, and it was built piece by piece. But I curated everything about it. I wanted it to be very unique, starting with the color. The color is leaf green, and this was a Porsche color. But no one wanted a leaf green Porsche back in 1972. But Jaguar and Mercedes had the same color, and it was popular on both those vehicles, but people didn't want it on a Porsche. So when I was building this one, I decided leaf green was going to be the color. And not just because it was unwanted, but because I find it to be really beautiful. Another aspect about a 1972 Porsche is this model was a 1 year only. And on the passenger side behind the rear door there's an oil filler cap. And that's where you put the oil in. However, a lot of people made the mistake and they would put gasoline into the oil tank. At least that's the tale of why they only did it for 1 year only. And that also kind of made me want a 1972 more than a 1969 or any other model year. With the 1972, it is part of the Long Hood series. Long Hood was a model that Porsche created between 1969 and 1973. And what they did is they added a little length to the body to increase the handling, because the engine is in the rear versus the front, so it is heavy in the tail end. So that was their answer to be able to make it handle better. Another thing they did too, which I'll just briefly touch on, is they would add weights to the front to try to balance it out a little more. Now let me address the statement that I made where I said that this 1972 Porsche 911 named Finley is unlike any other 1972 Porsche you've ever seen. And I'm going to blame this on my father. My father would use the term sleeper a lot. He loved cars, he loved horsepower, he loved adventure vehicles, whether we were in his Bronco, his Land Rover, his International Scout, his Peugeot 405, his Alfa Romeo, whatever it might be, or a Porsche. And that term sleeper was used so many times, and I learned what it meant. I learned to create a sleeper, and that's exactly what this is. And what I mean by sleeper is I love the classic lines. I love that it looks all original, and that majority of everyone, if not everyone, if they were to look at this Porsche, they would say, wow, you've taken really good care of it. It looks all original, that it's original all except for maybe the interior is a little different because it's just pristine, perfect, and has braided leather. So they would just walk around it and go, wow, original Porsche. And it's the same thing when I'm building a Helderburg. I like the original lines. I don't overdo it to the point that you say, oh wow, you pimped my ride, because I love the design that the engineers came up with originally. But my Porsche, the same as my Helderburg, there's a special flair that I appreciate, and again, I blame it on my father. And this Porsche being a sleeper for the simple fact, well, there's a lot of facts why, is when we were building it, I decided, because there was so much rust, I wasn't saving something that was completely unique because it was rusted almost to the ground. The front wings are carbon fiber. The bonnet is carbon fiber. The front fascia, carbon fiber. The upper dash, the lower dash, carbon fiber. The seat frames are carbon fiber. The doors are carbon fiber. The rear deck is carbon fiber. There's a tremendous amount of carbon fiber. That's the point I'm trying to make. But to look at it, you would think it's a regular Porsche. But what it is it's a 1972 Porsche that weighs around 1,800 pounds. And then the engine in it is not original to it either. But what it is it's a 3-liter that's been short-stroked to a 2.8. And yeah, I'm talking about specs here, but what this engine has become, where it has GT3 rockers and fuel-injected mechanical fuel injection, because that's what should be in it, is the mechanical fuel injection, because it's mechanical fuel injection is much harder to tune, but when you do get it tuned perfectly, there's nothing like it. How responsive it is, what it sounds like. Again, it's just electronic fuel injection can't recreate what mechanical fuel injection does, the old school mechanical fuel injection. So Finley, at 1,800 pounds, we put it on the dyno at 180 miles an hour in 4th gear and turning 8,000 RPMs. And one of the magical things about Finley, it has no red line. You can just rev it and it won't blow up the engine. At least I hope it doesn't, because I definitely rev it pretty hard and drive it pretty hard. But again, it looks like a classic 1972 Porsche 911, but it's carbon fiber. It has a very special engine, and the suspension under it is all custom. Actually, everything's on it is custom. So that's why I collect things, but everything has to have a story and it needs to be unique, and that's definitely the case here.